will be at Francis Beta Memorial Gymnasium there on Friday night.
All right, this AAA girls bracket, and I know we'll get into it as the night goes on, but it just reaffirms the fact that the district championship games played yesterday, guys, really didn't have any effect on the seedings, and it's becoming a frustration for me because I'm one that played in the district tournament where it meant something, and right now it's just a moneymaker, and I think the NMA is making that known. West Las Vegas with a big win yesterday. Going into that game, I don't think it mattered with the outcome. Santa Fe Indian School was going to get the 2 seed, and West Las Vegas was going to get the 4 seed. So why they played the game, I don't know. I guess it's for prestige and for district championship, but Santa Fe Indian School very fortunate to get the 2 seed, I believe, and West Las Vegas ends up a 4 playing Hatch Valley.
Well, I'll tell you this much: it might not have been District 2 AAA that really mattered this year, but the 3 AAA district tournament really played a factor in how it affected the 2 AAA teams. So Socorro losing to Hatch Valley there dropped Socorro probably from a 3 seed all the way down to an 8. And from what I understand, Roxanne Silva, their stud scorer there, who scored I think back-to-back 50-point games there, sprained her ankle, did not play against Hatch Valley, and that's the second time in a row Hatch Valley's beaten Socorro in the last week. That really precipitated the fall that Socorro had there, because I think the argument was, since Socorro had beaten Milwaukee and Milwaukee had finished ahead of West Las Vegas, logistically there was really no way for Socorro not to be that 3rd seed. But once they lost those 2 games to Hatch Valley, it kind of threw everything out the window, and which I think kind of maybe surprised some of the coaches, even going into the games yesterday, because I think if you talk to Jose Medina, he probably thought he was in the 5-6 slot. I think Lance Carter at Milwaukee probably thought he was in the 4 slot, but then all of a sudden they're all bunched together, and conversely, that affected Robertson, because I think Robertson was probably looking at maybe somewhere about a 13 or 14 seed, but because of where those 3 teams ended up, there was no other place for them to go than the 16 seed.
And we talked a little bit about in the 4A bracket how Coach Drake up at Espanola might be taking some motivation out of dropping down to the 4 seed. The one thing you can't say about District 2 3A is, there's nobody in this district that got disrespected. For 3 teams to be top 4 seeds out of one district, that's saying an awful lot. And Robertson being the 16 seed, that's the closest case that can be made out of the district. But you're getting 5 teams in from a northern New Mexico district. It's hands down, top to bottom, the best district in the state. Regardless of class, it's the toughest district. And Robertson, even as a 16 seed, they came into this season, a lot of teams picked to win state. They had some injuries. They had a player who was expected to return that did not. That's a tough matchup for a number 1 seed, because they still have some talents on that team. I'm not predicting a 16-1 upset there, but if I'm Portales, I'm not wanting to play Robertson in the opening round. That's for sure.
I like St. Mike's chances here. I think they win in Socorro, and really we've seen St. Mike's several times this year. They're very up and down, but if they can catch fire at the right time, they can definitely compete with Portales in that quarterfinal matchup, James. And I just think they can make a run. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I think you can see there is that if Silva's not healthy with the way St. Michael's plays defense, they can really shut them down, and they can probably win a game 30-19 or 30-20 there without Silva there. That said, if Silva comes back and she is relatively healthy, if I'm Portales, I don't like that side of the bracket, because you're dealing with a very tough quarterfinal matchup that probably a week ago would have been a semifinal matchup for you, or a championship game matchup. And then once you get past that, you're probably looking at maybe West Las Vegas or Thoreau, 2 teams that are really playing well right now, and they've played well. West Las Vegas probably for the last 3 weeks, Thoreau since they beat Kirtland Central back in mid-January. That's not an easy side of the bracket there. Portales, I could easily foresee them not getting to the semifinal, much less not getting to the championship game, which is something that I think they've done 8 out of the last 9 years in 3A.
I like West Las Vegas, Carl, coming out of that top half of the bracket. We saw them yesterday. They looked awfully good. The only concern we have about West Las Vegas is their depth. If one of their starters gets in foul trouble, those 5.
That was a weird thing to see.
They just don't use their bench, and so. But I see them, unless something bizarre happens, really coming out of that top half.
I'm curious to know. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm curious to know this as a coach. how tough is it when you have very little depth, when you have to play back-to-back games, especially in that Thursday-Friday situation of the semifinal and the finals? How much does that wear on a team once you get to that point in the season?
It can be a problem, but you look at those 5 girls that played yesterday. They're in great shape. He's done it all year long, and I don't see, unless there's an injury or foul trouble, I don't see them losing on that top half. And I like Powaka and Santa Fe Indian school meeting in that semis to see who plays West for the championship.
I want to jump back because that's on the St. Mike Socorro thing. They played on January 25th and down in Socorro, and Socorro beat the Lady Horsemen 56-43. And maybe you all know,
that was pre-Alexa Chavez. Sorry.
Yeah, well, she was not playing.
She was not playing then.
There you go. So that makes a big difference, and that's a good matchup for the Lady Horsemen and Coach Mark Romero. A 9-8 matchup there on Friday in Socorro.
And all things considered, I know what happened yesterday with West and Santa Fe Indian School. At their best, Santa Fe Indian School is still the best team in 3A, and I think they could still win the state championship.
They are, and Lovington I thought was a pretty good team, but Portales beat them by 20-some odd points both times they played them. Back in a couple of minutes here on ESPN 1400.